Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. It's Jamar back from Vegas Sense, and in this video what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving my final thoughts on L'impression by Flavia, and we're also going to be comparing that to, again, the Louis Vuitton L'impression and also the Jean Lowe Immortal, just to kind of go over the differences that at least I pick up between the two clones when compared to the original. All right. So if you're looking forward to that information, definitely go ahead and stick around for the rest of the video. And also, to anyone that's brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, anyone watching, go ahead and leave me a like and a comment. All right. So again, L'impression, I've had this particular fragrance for about a week, have worn this several times, and have also worn it along with what's left of my sample of Louis Vuitton's L'impression. And I do stand behind the fact that I do think that this particular fragrance is, in my opinion, at least in most of like the parts of the fragrance that you get with L'impression, I do believe that this is a little bit closer than what the Jean Lowe Immortal is. The Jean Lowe Immortal in the opening, in my opinion, is not as close as what this is, just simply because there's like an overemphasis on the note of ginger. Ginger, I would say, and also I would say it's like an overemphasis of ginger and grapefruit pretty much with this one when compared to the Louis Vuitton. Now, this is not like a one-to-one either. I would say after kind of wearing this a little bit more and, wearing it side by side, actually on skin, in the opening, I would say this is probably about, about 90 to 95% close. So not necessarily like the 98%, like I stated, in the first impressions video. I don't think it's necessarily as close as that, because that would almost be like a one-to-one. But the main thing that I get with this over the Jean Lowe Immortal is you get more of sort of like that watery, almost tea-like sort of, aspect that L'impression gives you. Now, this is, in my opinion, it does have a little bit more grapefruit in this particular fragrance as opposed to L'impression. And this also, in my opinion, has more of like that sage and rosemary, in the fragrance as well. So, like I said, it's about 90 to 95% close in the opening. Also, when it comes to the L'impression and the Jean Lowe Immortal, at least from what I can pick up, these two are both, in my opinion, stronger than what the Louis Vuitton is. The Louis Vuitton, in my opinion, is just a really sort of soft type of fragrance. Now, it does have, decent longevity. It does project, moderately, I would say. But the two clones of this fragrance, in my opinion, these two definitely, they project, harder than what the Louis Vuitton does. All right. Now, in terms of like the mid of this particular fragrance, I would also say that the L'impression is, in my opinion, is closer. The main thing, like I said, that I for the most part get with the Jean Lowe Immortal is still like that, heavy emphasis on like that ginger spice. And that's something that kind of, sticks along for, I would say, most of the fragrance. Now, like I said, I do actually like that aspect of this particular fragrance. So I'm not going to say that this is a bad, clone or inspiration. I do think that, they did a nice job of putting that sort of added twist to this particular fragrance with the overemphasis on, the ginger note. But I think if we're talking about just, pure accuracy, I do believe that this one is a little bit more accurate than what the Jean Lowe Immortal is. This one is not going to be as strong as what Jean Lowe Immortal is. So that also, in my opinion, it makes it a little bit more truer to, the way that the Louis Vuitton behaves. Now, again, this is still going to be stronger. This is not, you know, as soft as what the Louis Vuitton is. The Louis Vuitton is obviously, it's better blended than both of these, but this does have more of sort of like a watery, softer sort of touch to it than what the Jean Lowe Immortal does. All right. Now, I would say in the like far dry down, so this is, you know, going to be like 5-6+ hours into the fragrance. That's when this one does start to kind of stray away from L'Immensité, in my opinion. The main thing that I get from this one in the dry down is just a really heavy dose of that geranium note that's in L'Immensité. The ambroxan, I would say that's also pretty heavy as well. And that's about it. When comparing it with L'Immensité, I still do get like those, you know, sort of herbs, you know, even into the far dry down, like the sage and the rosemary. Not so much of the geranium, but I do also get a really nice sort of amber note in the far dry down of L'Immensité. When it comes to the Jean Lowe Immortal, in the far dry down of this one, I do get like a mixture of that ambroxan, the amber, and I do still get a slight bit of, you know, like that sage and rosemary as well. It's not as, you know, I would say it doesn't smell as good as what it does in L'Immensité. But yeah, definitely I would say in the far dry down, this one may be a little bit closer to L'Immensité, just with the exception of, you know, this one is definitely going to be stronger, the Jean Lowe Immortal, than what the L'Immensité and L'Impression is going to be at that, you know, about 5 to 6 hour mark. And, you know, like I said, it's going to be an emphasis on, you know, different things, in my opinion, with this one. All right. So I think, you know, either way it goes, you really can't go wrong with either one of these particular, you know, clones of the fragrance. I think what it comes down to is what parts of the fragrance you actually enjoy the most out of L'Immensité. You would have to, you know, kind of get familiar with the scent and ask yourself, you know, which parts you actually like about the fragrance, and kind of make a decision based off of that. All right. So if you're someone that, you know, does like that more kind of watery herbal sort of, you know, opening and mid that you get with L'Immensité, then I would say this is going to be, you know, the better clone to purchase. If you like, I guess, the gingery sort of spicy aspect of L'Immensité, and, you know, maybe you want an amped up, you know, version of that, I would say go with this one. Also, if you want a more sort of beast mode sort of version of L'Immensité, I would say go with this one, the Jean Lowe Immortal. But, you know, just in terms of like the most accurate that you can purchase, you know, when it comes to these Middle Eastern houses anyway, I would say this one, for the most part, you know, when it comes to most of the fragrance, this is going to be a little bit more accurate, in my opinion, than what the Jean Lowe Immortal is. I haven't smelled the L'Immensité from Alexandria Fragrances. I would assume that that one is more than likely going to be, you know, the most sort of accurate, you know, to the original. I'll have to try to get a sample of that one to try to compare it. But, you know, in terms of the price, you know, especially the price to mLs, these two are definitely going to be a lot more cheaper than, you know, the Alexandria version. So if the cost is something that, you know, you're more so concerned about, and you just want to have a really solid, accurate sort of, you know, cheap clone of Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité, then I would say this is going to be, you know, in my opinion, the better choice overall. All right. So overall, man, if I'm going to be rating this, you know, in terms of, you know, like the overall sort of accuracy to L'Immensité, I'm going to give this one about a 90%. And I would say for the Jean Lowe Immortal, as I've started to kind of wear this one more, you know, along with the Louis Vuitton, I would say this is not too far behind, you know, probably about 87% or so. So, I mean, you know, either way, you can't really go wrong. I do get decent performance out of this one, at least 8 hours on my skin. This, obviously, I get a little bit better. This is going to be like a 10 to 12 plus hour fragrance. And it is going to give you stronger projection for longer than what this does. The L'impression, I get probably about arm's length and a half, I would say. Well, no, about an arm's length or so for about the first hour and a half. All right. With this one, I would say you're getting probably about an arm's length and a half or so, or even more, for at least about 2 to 2.5 hours. You know, so I mean, obviously, this is going to be the stronger sort of fragrance. Also, the sillage on this, I would say, is going to be slightly better than what you get with the L'impression. Now, I've seen a lot of different people say that, you know, this only lasts a couple hours on them. I'm not really sure where that comes from. I don't know if they're going nose blind to it. I don't know if they're getting bad bottles. I'm not sure. All I can really speak for is the performance that I get with the L'impression. And like I said, I've been getting, you know, eight hours at the very least every single time that, you know, I wear this particular fragrance. And it's been, I would say, pretty aligned with the performance that I'm getting from the Louis Vuitton. Maybe slightly less by about an hour or so. The Louis Vuitton in the far dry down is slightly stronger, in my opinion, than what the L'impression is. All right. But at the same time, this is going to be the cheapest, you know, clone, at least, you know, from what I can see, of L'Immensité. This is a 100 ml bottle for $30. All right. I know you can probably get this one for around that price now, at least. At least when I first picked this particular fragrance up, I did pay more than that. I believe I picked this one up for like around $50 or so. All right. So I'll leave links in the description to where you can actually, you know, purchase both of these particular fragrances. But again, if you want a beast mode version, I would say go with the Lowe Immortal. If you want a more sort of softer, more accurate, you know, clone or, you know, inspiration of L'Immensité, then I would actually say go with the L'impression by Flavia. All right. So I know it's going to be some people that are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. You know, this is what I've gotten from, you know, just wearing these fragrances on my skin. So obviously, you know, this isn't going to be the same with everybody, but that's my take on it. So let me know in the comments what you all think. Have you smelled the two clones, the Lowe Immortal and the L'impression? Also, have you, you know, kind of worn these side by side with L'Immensité? And what do you think in terms of, you know, the accuracy or closeness of these fragrances? All right. So let me know in the comments below, man. Again, if you're brand new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And also anyone watching, leave a like and a comment below. And once again, that's Jamar from Vegas Sense. I'll see you on the next video.